Hey guys, Bowie here, and this is my ultimate Invoker guide, and for a long time I kept thinking about how to approach this. I categorized three types of Invokers: pure Exort, pure +wax, and what I call intermediary Invokers. Sometimes starting with 1 point of Exort you get less hitting lanes. It's kinda complicated, but let's get on to this. We will talk about the first 5 minutes or 7 minutes of all these Invokers today, starting by the standard +wax. This is Fata playing a game, and I know, you're like, well, why the hell there is no Thompson here? Well, Thompson didn't play +wax Invoker for a long time, and his dot above profile is private. I didn't want it to get replaced from other patches, so we will work with Mr. Fata today, and he starts with Cold Snap. Not only Quas gives you HP regen for trades at level 1 EMP is probably one of the most useless spells in the entire game. While level 1 Cold Snap is not great, it's supposed to be used to get you denies or creep CS. +wax Invoker struggles really hard in lane because his first levels are terrible, he doesn't have a lot of attack speed, his attack animation is not great, his base damage is awful. So note how Fata prevents the OD from getting this one CS, potentially trying to get the deny too, but he fails because his base damage is awful. It might feel a little bit underwhelming, and it is, but you just want to get to level 2 at the same time as your opponent so you can get Tornado. This is a 115 damage nuke that you will have every wave. Using Tornado effectively to get CS is the way +wax Invokers are able to lane without having a terrible game, and you can quickly see Fata going for it here. As OD pressures Fata, look how he can use the Cold Snap offensively too, and quickly switches to all wax charges so he can proc more Cold Snaps. He deals more damage and he chases better too because of the move speed. Even with the Astro, that's a first blood already. Mana is a big problem in the first levels for +wax Invoker. You don't really have the means of holding people on your EMP, and he doesn't drain that much mana anyways. You can only cast 4 tornadoes at a time, and the cooldown is kinda long anyway, so it's standard to get an item like an Aquila or another new talisman at the start, so you don't have to rely that heavily in your skills to get CS as you progress in levels. Mangoes are also an item that Invokers love. Usually your kill potential in lane is felt by your opponent based on how much mana you have, and the quick burst of mana it offers, especially if you drop your new talismans, is insane. This hero oftentimes doesn't offer kill potential that early into the lane unless the enemy is trying to be aggressive, but with the Shaker rotation we can see it happen. This clip is a great showing of how you feel playing +wax Invoker in the first 5 minutes. Effective, but also a little miserable. It might feel funny how the Cold Snap trick to prevent range creep CS is actually a top tier tip to win your lane as a +wax Invoker, but it's true. You can see Cr1t doing it here, and it just makes sure that you don't start the lane too far behind. The first few levels are all about keeping up with the enemy mid, making sure you get range CS, and possibly deny the enemy from getting them even if you don't get the deny yourself. But a lot of times, it's pretty hard, and it's okay, because this hero has a crazy power spike once the earn is done. The bright side of the +wax Invoker is that he has way better HP regen than other heroes, meaning that yes, you're faring some mangoes, but you fare way less HP regen items, making the mango purchases completely okay if you play it right. Since Cr1t took damage, you can see that he uses Quas during the entire last hitting session on the tower, even though some people would say that the attack speed could be better so he doesn't miss CS. Using your level 2 Quas to trade effectively is key when playing this hero. As you can see though, he's not trying to use Cold Snap to harass the Tinker. This hero doesn't have kill potential just yet, and all you want is to be doing well in CS so that you can get enough Quas points so that your Tornado or Cold Snap sets up that EMP, and this is why EMP is the skill that you usually use to harass when you're playing +wax Invoker. This makes your trades very good because the enemy is not gonna have a lot of mana. Usually the mid heroes, they rely on mana to do stuff, and you will use very few mana to actually use your combo if you land the EMP. While at level 4, your kill potential on most heroes is negligible, there is one way to land EMPs at level 4, and that is the situation. Tinker, or whatever hero, wants to get creeps in the tower, and because of that, he wants to stay there, and you can cast EMP on top of him and just commit a cold snap after the laser ends. This means he is draining 170 mana from the Tinker, recovering 80 mana, while he stops that hero from getting CS. That is a great trick at your disposal, and as you get more wax points, the trades are even better, especially against intelligence heroes. In fact, thanks for deploying the tower, he actually gets a kill later. Your kill potential in one go is definitely lacking, but if you're smart enough to use the tower there to harass first, and the Tinker is not aware of your potential and cooldowns, look what happens when the lane pushes back. You can see the Mango being committed, and the Quas Wax build more often than not is 3-3-0. For your MPs to land and for your cold snap to be better utilized, you want 3 or 4 points in Quas, later transitioning for a lot of wax points, sometimes a random point in Exort. It does vary quite a bit. The HP regen loses a lot of value once you leave the lane, and since you go for phase boots, the move speed really helps and scales with the item, and you get faster rotations, you can reach easier and use your tornado and drain mana and get more attacks to proc more cold snaps. It's just pretty good. We will now talk about the standard Exort Invoker. Maybe I wasn't as vocal as I should be, but choosing a style is as much as a preference thing as it is a matchup thing. Some heroes get destroyed by Quasvex Invoker. Heroes like Tinker and Lina, Quap and Pugna that sometimes have long cast points or sometimes rely on a certain escape can be handled better by going Quasvex, but it doesn't stop you from playing normal Exort Invoker against them. In this game, for example, he has a lot of good setup for Sunstrikes, and Miracle in the past showed way more interest in this type of Invoker than the other one. This hero doesn't need that many shenanigans to get CS. When you're in lane, you're gonna have decent base damage at level 1, and at level 2, you're more often than not summoning a Force Spirit. Interestingly enough, Miracle got a second point of Quas at level 3 instead of the Exort, which is actually fairly rare. You see that when Exort Invokers are facing heroes that have a lot of harass, like Tinker and Clinks and Lina, but in other scenarios, having more base damage and dominating the lane with your stronger Force Spirit is usually the standard choice. There's another thing, Clinks only has single target damage, which means that he can't really kill your Force Spirits, and once you get level 2 Cold Snap, he is eternal. He has the same cooldown as Helas. So as Clinks is harassing the Invoker, the Force Spirit is gonna be alive throughout the entire time, helping him get CS and also harassing the Clinks a little bit. Cold Snap is also a skill that doesn't work well versus Clinks since he dodges all your right clicks with Strafe, but note how Miracle goes for it after the Strafe was committed when he disengaged, giving him a good trade from the high ground. One of the more important things to do when playing Exort Invoker is to make sure that if you're disengaging from a target, you do it on Quas, since your extra damage is not needed, and when you're not attacking and not full HP, you should toggle between your orbs. Speaking of that Strafe interaction, we see him getting a solo kill at level 4 just as the skill gets used. He knows that he can cold snap him while his Forge baby is alive. The way he does it is pitch perfect. He sees the creeps drawing aggro onto the Clinks, and the first stuns buys enough time for the next attack to proc and the Sunstrike to hit. It might seem irrelevant that he waits for the creeps drawing aggro, but level 2 Quas Forge Spirit has 360 attack range, meaning that he would never get the attack off without it. Unlike the Quasvex Invoker, Exort Invoker will almost always be 2-1-3 at level 6, with the wax point being picked at level 6 or 5. Against some matchups where a Dispel is needed, like Necrophos or Ember, level 5 might be necessary, but overall level 6 is the norm, with some weirdos getting it at level 8. In terms of items, Midas definitely faded away, but some people still go for it, although this is not the focus of this video, since we talk about early game. Boots is usually the item purchased after the second node talisman, unlike the Quasvex Invoker that usually gets the Blades of Attack just to have as much damage as possible, or Aquila, but Miracle gets the Gloves of Haste. Radiant doesn't have a lot of roamers, and since Clinks also doesn't gap close at all, he just wants to be strong to fight him, since the Gloves of Haste gives you more DPS and more cold snap procs, and the gloves can become treads, which more often than not is the option that Exort Invokers go for anyways. You're not chasing people with the cold snap urn, so you're more about farming fast and tread switching. One thing that I noticed watching this one clip that also translates to the Miracle game is how Invoker players rarely commit their Forge Spirit when they're less hitting on their tower and when their Forge Spirit only has 1 point of Quas. He gets level 2, but he never touches the spell, but once the next creep wave appears, he goes for it, see? Having that ready for harass, denying creeps is important, and the enemy shouldn't be able to out-deny you when you're under tower anyways. Even though it looks like a great idea to not miss CS under tower and summon that baby, it's rarely done. If we go back to the Miracle game, you can see that he summons the spell, misses CS under tower, but does not go for it. Once he can out-deny the Clinks, and Clinks cannot attack the bait because he wants to CS, Miracle summons him. Clinks has great base damage, so he was not able to get any denies, but understanding why Pearls go for some plays in particular is very important. Since he used the spell when the creep waves were farting, he can also use the remainder of the duration to trade versus the Clinks when he uses Strafe on him. In this game, you can also know that he get the level 2 Exort instead of Quas. The harass factor when using your Force Spirits is also important. If you use it when the creep wave is coming towards you, the enemy can just disengage. But in this case, Monkey King is forced to constantly deal with Noone's babies. Actually, one baby. Noone has creep wave advantage here, and he delays less hitting the creep as much as possible so that he can trade favorably against the Monkey King, see? We see another great play by Noone here. He constantly zones the Monkey King out while he tries to build the Jingle stacks on him, and you can see how ready he was. Most players would wait for the third Jingle stack to build so they could cold snap the Monkey King and prevent the Boundless Strike. Mid one though keeps attacking with both Hero and Forge, and once the Monkey King's hands are in the air, he instantly cancels it with the cold snap, meaning he already had the cursor on quick cast on top of him, just waiting for the spell to be used. I'm pretty sure Monkey King would die had the fissure not landed, but still, he ends up falling. We see the cold snap usage once again being done flawlessly by Noone. Most players commit the cold snap while they wait for their attack to hit the enemy, and a lot of the times that wastes a huge part of the potential of the spell. Noone was farming with his Force Spirit, he dies, and then the Monkey King tries to get on top of him again, and that draws aggro from the creeps. Only when they start hitting the monkey he commits his spell, and that really is the difference maker. Not only he dodges the Balance Strike, but by having Sunstrike learned during the fight, he gets another kill. Here, we also learn why the level 6 Wax Point is so good. It's all about the Tornado combo. Chaos Meteor has a 1.3 delay effect, and once you have your Tornado, you can play around the delay very well. He even commits the Cold Snap as he throws the Tornado to be 100% sure the initial stun sets the Tornado on, and while your delay effect lasts longer than the lift, since he will take damage from the Tornado, once he's in the ground, another stun will proc, buying time for the Meteor to land, as I said. This doesn't necessarily solo all heroes at level 6. In this case, Monkey King actually had a huge one that he commits during the fight, but this is one of the easiest ways and reliable ways of getting kills once you're level 6 as an Exort Invoker. Now we will finally discuss the Hybrid Invoker. As I said, a lot of this is preference based. In this game, Brio is against the Necrophos, and as I said, for the Exort Invoker guide, nothing stops you from being able to learn one pointing wax at level 5 and then have a way to deal with the Ghost Shroud later. But this is not the only benefit of having a lot of wax points. By going for the Hybrid build, you have the benefit of getting more CS and getting less dominated against the Necro, while also having the chance to build items like the Spirit Vessel that hard counter Necrophos. Quasvex Invoker offers a lot of lockdown and control, but not necessarily burst damage that you also need versus that hero. At the end of the day, it's all a preference thing, and I'm just trying to show through my perspective the benefits of each build. Your laning stage until level 4 is very similar to Exort Invoker. You can see how the same Cold Snap and Force Spirit technique gets used when the Necrophos tries to harass Brio, giving him some decent damage on the enemy. The items that you go for are all Quasvex related. Phase Boots is the item to make full use of the early points in Wax, and the Urn and all the right clicks and whatever. This particular matchup ends up being quite passive because the Urn power spike comes a little later into the game, and that's not the focus of the first video. The reason for Wax being picked at level 5 most of the time is that level 2 Quas gives you the Eternal Forge Spirits, which is great to have in lane so that you get the upper hand in experience and gold, and the extra damage from Exort on both you and the spirits is also amazing. After level 5, the points in Wax are added like crazy, benefiting the disarm duration, which is in this game insanely good to have versus Troll and Riki, tornado damage, mana drain from EMP that really hard counters the Necros as well, which are just the bread and butter from your Quasvex Invoker. Be aware that Invoker is not only a hard hero to play, but the way this hero was built just makes him insanely intricate, and a video from a non-Invoker player will never be in-depth enough to teach you all the ins and outs of the hero. That being said, I do think there's a lot of cool little things to take out from this game, and if the feedback is positive, I'll keep on making videos about all 3 popular Invoker styles throughout the duration of a normal match. Well guys, thanks for watching. It's a pleasure having you here. As you know, I do have a Twitter, and I'm there posting Dota stuff and memes and whatever. I do have a Twitch where I cast very often. I will be casting ESL Hamburg, by the way, so if you're interested, drop by the Twitch. I really appreciate any Amazon Prime subs, and yeah, I also have a Discord channel and an Instagram that you can check in the description below. Thanks everyone, bye!